When you first start school, one of the things we're going to talk about today is building a climate, okay, in your school and a culture in your school. And one of the things is for kids to get to know each other and to get to know different people, because if they're like most people, and if it's like you came in and sat with the people you came with the people that you're familiar with, let's branch out just a little bit. So in your class, how can you do that to where they get to know each other, okay? So Bert, you want to stand up and introduce your study buddy?
My study buddy is Kathy, Heardbridge.
Okay.
And look forward to a great day.
Okay, good. Kathy?
My study buddy is Bert. He's from Sheridan, and he brought 2 people with him.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Did you bring them or did they bring you?
They brought me.
That's all right, but he's with them.
It's Daisy today.
Okay. All right, Randy.
My study buddy is Lisa, and she's from Wynn.
Okay, fantastic. Lisa?
Yeah, my study buddy is Randy. He's from Sheridan.
Okay, fantastic. All right, back here. Who's your study buddy?
My study buddy is Corey. He's from Wynn.
All right. Corey?
Hey, that's Sandy. She's my study buddy.
Sandy. All right. Sheridan. Fantastic. Okay, Rick.
My study buddy is Lynn from Sheridan.
All right. Lynn?
Rick is my study buddy from Wynn.
From Wynn. Fantastic. Okay, where are we up here? Okay. Aaron.
Aaron, and my study buddy is Cheryl Madison.
I never told you I didn't write it. I'm from Marshall.
She's from Marshall.
Yeah.
Y'all know where Marshall is? If you look on the TV, and all the snow goes right through Marshall, and the tornadoes go right south of there. Okay.
We have earthquakes.
Well, I have not heard about the earthquakes, but Marshall's a beautiful place. Okay. So Cheryl.
And my study buddy is Erin, and she's from Wynn.
Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay.
I'm Christy. My study buddy is Gwen from Marshall.
Okay. Gwen.
I'm Gwen. This is my study buddy, Christy from Conway.
Fantastic. Okay.
My name is Nadra, and my study buddy is Clint, and he is from Mulberry.
All right.
Mine's Nadra. She's from Marshall.
All right. Has everybody got that? Okay, fantastic. Everybody give yourself one clap. One. All right, here's the rule in the classroom this morning. If I clap once, you clap after me. Okay? All right, everybody, we're going to try this. Ready? Fantastic. All right, if I clap twice, you say boom. Ready? Boom. That's it. Okay, just remember that. Okay, all right. Over here on the far right-hand side is Jessica. Jessica is my administrative assistant. She is one of the best I've ever seen at doing a lot of work in a short period of time. Fantastic, because I'm the opposite of that. There was one time we had we were filling out names, and there were 500 names. And I said, okay, you do these 500, I'm going to do 100. Well, she did 500 by the time I got to my 40th, I think. So she's very fast. I appreciate what she does, and most of the time you will deal with her on some of the things, financial things, or you'll deal with her, so remember her name. Okay, then you've got Amber. Amber here has come to us this past year, and some of you guys met her in the class last year if you were in the class. Amber brings really some creativity to Heardbridge. She brings I think fresh new ideas. It's been good for us because she's come in with her husband, and they've had a lot of neat kinds of things, and she's actually got a criminal justice master's degree. I guess master's degree. She hadn't figured out what she wants to be in her life, except for now she's actually been very, very good for us, and appreciate Amber. Mike over here is a technical person. Mike is for our school is we're kind of getting into the maker. What do you call that?
Makerspace.
Just makerspace type thing. He's very good at drones, and is going to bring some of that. He does the programming at our school. At the school, everybody programs and builds things with that, and so he's been very good at that. So anything technically breaks down here, then ask him. He's the one that needs to be. He'll try to help fix it. Here's Mark over here. Mark is my son. And a couple of years ago, actually about 4 years ago, Mark wrote a book that I wrote. He helped me write the book. He did the research for it, and we were very successful with that book, actually. I think I got 100 copies made, and I sold one. And it happened to be at a history conference, and somebody came by and said, I heard you had a book. I'd really like to read it. And I said, okay, here it is. And he says, well, how much is it? And I thought, okay, $20. And the rest of them I gave away. But we actually changed some of the things we were doing right after I wrote the book. So it's like, it was not of really value. Then I hired him 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, to come on and to write the curriculum. So what he's done is taken the research behind everything that we've been doing in the last 8 to 10 years. A lot of it was already in the book, or some of it was, and has put all this together and has done a wonderful job. And so anything that has to do with curriculum, it's Mark. So if you're questioning different kinds of things that are in it, or want to add or subtract or whatever, or if you see a glitch or something, then that's a Mark issue. And then Nate back here is doing training videos for us. So he's videoing everything today. He'll put it together into training. Next year, a lot of what we're doing here can be done online. And we'll talk about pricing next year. It'll be different. It'll be broken up into pieces, so just depending on what you want or need. This year, as a pilot school, you can use the curriculum for any and everything for one price. So you've got your elementary, your middle school or your high school, your health class, your ALE, whatever you want. Then you can use that for anything. So anyway, Nate will be here doing that. So just keep that in mind. Maybe if there are questions and things, you may need to speak up, or I'll get close to you with this mic, and we'll get that done. Harvey up here is I call him Harvey Hero. He is with Hero. He is going to be sitting with us today. His expertise, I'm going to let him explain this just a little bit later, but his expertise comes in documentation of data, all the kind of stuff that I can't stand. And but he is good. We've talked. We met each other actually through at the ALE conference, I guess, the person that was working up there, and then found that there was a connection over here with Corey, and that Corey's going. And actually, I think, did you say you are in Paragould? Okay, so you are in Paragould. So I guess, did y'all talk about that in a minute? So how to connect what we're doing with what he's doing with academics, with discipline, with all that, really can be kind of cool. So we're going to try to be putting that together, and we'll let you know that as we go. But he was in Little Rock at the administrators conference, and decided to come down and spend a half a day with us, just kind of find out what's going on. So thank you for being here. Okay, everybody? Okay, fantastic. Now, another thing, if you like what you're doing, I may ask you this, so pay attention here. I want you to just knock on the desk, please. Okay? There you go. Okay, if you really like it, knock loud. All right, that's good. So there'll be a couple of times during the day that we'll talk about these things. Now, since I'm not on, can they get on the victimization?
Yes.
Okay. See if what you're doing right now on Canvas. Thank you. Mike actually helps me with my language up here.
That's my number one.
Yes.
Finishing the sentences.
So if Jessica's going to help you, but I think it'd be worth going ahead and doing this, although we were doing this a little bit later. The article that I gave you while she's looking at this is by John Gatto. John Gatto is one of my heroes. Unbelievable writer. Great outside the box thinker. I'm not even sure, he might have even died in the last year. He was really in bad health. Have not kept up with him here lately. Wrote a book called the American, what is that?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a great book, and I'm sorry, I'll get that book to you, but a great book and fantastic. He's okay. He is. But I gave you what he did is he wrote an article about Harvard, and what Harvard said would be skills that kids need to know. Look at those skills. Are those skills? We're not going to go through this article. I just gave it to you to read later, but go through them and look at it and say, are these skills that we're teaching our kids? Very, very important. There are a couple of things I want you to also see. At some point today, you can come up and look at these books. Some of these books I'm using today. This one a lot. Poor Students, Rich Classroom. Very good book. You don't have to write these down. You can come look at them later. Cultivating Mindfulness in the Classroom. Again, very good book. These are books that I recommend. These are books that I have read most of them. Raising an Emotionally Intelligent Child. If you're a parent, you need to read this. Fantastic. We're actually using the 5 steps that they have that we're talking about for students in here. So we're using part of this book. Some of it it may be a little controversial. We're going to talk a little bit about that as we go through. Jessica read the book and felt like there were some things in there that she didn't agree with, which is great. And that's the way it's all about. But we'll talk about this just a little bit. This book is The Gifts of Imperfection. Really kind of cool about a teenager. It'd be good for a teenager that's going through some troubled times or big things. Really good book there. I recommend that. Bridges Out of Poverty. How many have heard that? This is a book that we're going to also talk about a little bit of stuff. We have used this book some in some of the research that Mark is doing, and the Highly Engaged Classroom. So these are some books that are pretty cool. I'm not selling books for anybody. And please don't take my books home. These are books that I just would recommend that if you're looking for it. These the couple that this one right here. The cool thing about it's got some really practical applications kinds of things, and you're going to see some of these things we're doing today, and the mindfulness also. How to be mindful in the classroom. Practical application. You know, you read books and there's a lot of theory. These books actually have stuff that you can grab a hold of and use in your classrooms. While we're at it, I'm going to say this. Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, so everybody.
Not everybody, I have 5 that aren't students yet.
Oh, who?
Georgia, Sandy, Christy, Kathy, and Rachel.
Can you get on?
To your classroom?
Yeah.
Yeah, it should have sent you an email to log in. Okay.
Okay, log in. If y'all will go ahead and do that, I'm going to do this and then we'll move on. These are your workbooks. These are workbooks, and here is something that I went ahead and did that we did not do last year. Every school, not everybody, all right? Please, not everybody. Everybody's school gets one copy of everything, and here's the reason we did that. We still have the website. Mike's going to talk about that a little bit later, but we still have the website and we still have where you can pull things from the website. But what we've done is pulled the 132 lessons down to 60. Now, we've done this from some feedback from you guys. We've done it because it works more practical with you guys in that most of you don't have room to do 132 lessons. Actually, Hot Springs Community School last year did 132 lessons, every one of them. But we do it 4 days a week religiously, okay? And so we did it also because we wanted to go through, make sure that there weren't any weirdness going on in any of them and all. But here's what we did. We copied these because it's going to be hard to copy these from Canvas. All right, so it's like you can't get in and really copy them. So I thought, okay, I'm going to give everybody one really good copy. The copy is not going to be bound. It's not going to be like this. It's just going to be straight to where you can have every workbook. So there's 5 workbooks and 5 teacher lesson plans. Come on. What's wrong? 5 teacher lesson plans. And so with those, so you should leave here with 10 different things that are not bound. So just make sure that you do that before you leave. So some of you guys that are not going to be back tomorrow, then make sure you get that before you leave. Also, the PD that we have over here, I have a little thing, so you are getting PD today. Now, how many hours you get, I'm not sure how that's done. I'm trying to figure all this out with ADE is trying to figure me out. I know I've given them a hassle, and thank goodness I went to school with a couple of them that I'm having to deal with, so at least they don't cuss me out on the phone. But we're trying to figure this out. But we are legal. legal, however that is. We are whatever for PD, so you can get PD for here, whatever you need. So if you need it, and ours covers SEL, which basically covers everything but academics. So don't go over here and put academics. Don't put anything, don't put math over here. We're not teaching math today, but anything that has to do with SEL, you can put down and take back, and however you do your, what do y'all do? Y'all take those back and give them to your principals, and then they send them in? Is that what happens?
No, nowadays we pretty much do it in our shoebox.
You what?
We do it in shoebox.
In shoebox. Oh, is that like a program? Okay. But I guess you just need the signature and all, so I don't know, they still did that at the, at the conventions, came by and got signatures. However, but anyway, so we are legal, and you can put us down, and it's under Heardbridge, and it may be under Heardbridge and Bill Vining. So those are some things. The last thing I'm going to tell you today, just to start with, and then we'll get moving here, is that that we are approved for a course. Now, we did this through WIN, and thank you, Corey, for helping us with that. But WIN had to submit the course, and so we submitted the course, the outline, and then had to go back and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And it took about a month to do, and finally, I think they got tired of it and said, okay, y'all can have it. And here's what they said. They said, what we want you to do is to be able to, just the other schools, is what they told me, I promise. They said, other schools, all you have to do is call in and get a number. Well, that's not happening. Somebody called in. Was it Clint? Was it you? No, it wasn't you. It was somebody, I think your superintendent did. But anyway, somebody had been called in, and they're saying, okay, so you need to send in an outline of what you're going to be doing. That's what they're doing. And I said, okay. So here's what you do. If you want to teach this as a class, which I would suggest. Christy, what were some of the problems that you had last year teaching our system here?
With our age group, it was middle school, and so sometimes the concepts are a little bit more difficult.
Okay, that's not what I was looking for. Are you paying attention? Are you being mindful at this point in time? I'm just messing with you. I'm going to mess with you a little bit today, so don't worry about what?
One of the biggest problems we had was getting the kids to buy in because they weren't receiving any credit.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for. It was hard. I went to Mulberry. And really, you guys had the same problem, because you'd call them in. They come into assembly, and then they're going, "What are we here for? What's up?" Okay, and guys, I'm sorry, but the education system over the years has programmed these kids to where if they're not getting a grade for it, why am I going to do it? All right? So learning just to learn something that will help you in life, who cares? Learning something I'm going to get a grade for, well, at least I'll do it. And we're going to talk actually just a little bit about that. So Mulberry had the same problem. We had to call the 10 kids in, and they're pretty tough kids. And they came in and they would go, okay, so this is playtime. Or they called it AA time. We're in AA, so let's do what we can to have a good time. And so it was a little difficult to get their attention. And so this year, I would suggest that you do it as a class. And so you're going to have to submit this. And I've seen where a couple of you have done that. Submit it however you want to do it. Some of you are doing it different ways, and we'll talk about that. Okay. As we get started, any questions just to start with? Feel free. I want you guys to loosen up a little bit. I want us to have a good time. I do have a lot to tell you. Lunch, we've already talked about lunch a little bit, and have they turned in their stuff?
Not everybody. I put a Jimmy John's paper on your desk, so you'll just fill your name out and circle what you want.
Okay.
If you want something on your sandwich, make sure to write it, no tomatoes or no whatever.
Man, talk about food.
So, yes. Now, here today, and today only, we will have a working lunch. Again, guys, getting everything in one day for some of you guys that are not going to be here tomorrow has been a little bit of a challenge, but we're going to try to get that done. And so, we're going to have a working lunch, and the working lunch is this: what worked last year and what did not. And so the new I'll call you franchises, but the new pilot schools will be able to hear what's going on, hear the discussion, and so will everybody else, and we'll learn from this, so that this next year we are on top of things like crazy. Okay, any questions there? Anything else I have not taken care of there? Okay, go to victimization. There's that thing, quit going to sleep. Can you take care of that where it won't go to sleep at all? This year, everything has been put on Canvas. Now, as you know, as some of you read your emails, which very few of you do, I do realize that, but as some of you read your emails in the summer, I said we would be on Canvas. I mean on Moodle. How many read that? Okay. Okay, so if you read that, everybody say Moodle. Okay, and forget that now. I don't want you to ever remember that name again because it's the most horrible thing I've ever come across. And we felt like we could pull it off, and then after 6 months, gave up. We went to Canvas, and Canvas at this point we've got a program, and it looks like that Canvas is going to be perfect. So here's what you can do, and we'll go through this a little bit, but you can get on Canvas. Your kids can get on Canvas. It's easy. They do their workbook. They do everything. You don't have to have a sheet of paper at all. Now, if you want sheets of paper and if you want those kinds of things, that's fine. But in that way, you can keep up with it and do it. So everybody on victimization versus empowerment. Okay. Now, here's what I'm going to do very briefly. I'm going to go through just a little bit of the program. I'm going to teach it a little bit like we teach it, and then we're going to go into circle here in just a minute. So I want to do this now. I'll tell you how we do it. Now, here's what you're going to hear. Hot Springs Community School is a private school, very small. We use it as a lab, and we use it to test a lot of the stuff that we do. So you're going to hear me refer to Hot Springs Community School. How many times have you ever heard of a private school and a public school working together? They don't very often, right? I mean, it's like up to this point, it's like they conflict. Where a couple of years ago, we decided at Hot Springs Community School that if we were going to change this community, we could not do it by ourselves. The very people, listen to this, listen to what I'm saying here, the very people, and I got this from Harvey, by the way. Harvey, I'm stealing this. The very people that are going out, that are coming in your house and stealing from you are the ones that you just graduated. That's not the way you said it. He said the very ones that you're not teaching SEL to, the ones that you're not teaching SEL to, they're leaving and shooting people and killing people, and they're the very ones that will come back after your grandkids. That's how important SEL is. Do you understand the importance of what you're doing is a lot more than just teaching some kind of curriculum. It's important because you're dealing with kids that in many cases that you are their only hope. Okay? Now, as we go through victimization, this is where a lot of your kids are. And this is where you are. So last year, how many of you all used the excuse, well, I'm not doing SEL because the kids aren't responding to it? Everybody, raise your hand if you actually use that excuse or you felt like that at one time. How about that? Anybody? Oh, come on, guys. I know. I know. Do what?
Well, we're new to it. So.
Well, I know. So you get an excuse, okay? But most of us, in some way, we're going to feel like the victim. All right. Let me ask you another question here. Have you felt the victim if you have said, my kids are tardy to school so many times and it's because of those cotton picking parents? How many have said that? Okay? How many have said, okay, those kids are coming in and they're skipping school and it's because of those cotton picking parents? How many said that? All right, right. So most of us said, what'd you just do? Yeah, what we did is we just released all of the power that we might have to get those kids there, to get them there on time. We released that and we're saying it's not up to me. That's what victimization is. Victimization is saying what is it that I want to just throw my power somewhere else, instead of to empower yourself and to say, if it's going to be, it's up to me. So how do you do that in the classroom? How do you do that? Can SEL, can teaching the Heardbridge curriculum get your kids where they're coming to school on time and coming more often? Will it? Statistics say yes, okay? Now, we didn't keep that data last year, but the statistics say yes, it will work and it does help in that situation. And again, as we go through, we'll talk a little bit about this, but guys, you have to teach it. And you have to teach it. You can't teach it. I'm just telling you, you can't teach it, once every 2 weeks. It's got to be taught. It's got to be taught 2 to 3 days a week. and it's got to be absorbed by them, and you're going to see, and then by the time that you're going to see towards the end of the year, you're going to see that your whole classroom will be changed. It'll be flipped. It does. We teach it again at our school religiously, and we have new kids come in every year. Every year they come in, and they are, I'll promise you, they are victims. Now, are you going to get that out of every kid? No. You're going to have some kids who are going to come in and they may spend 2 years with you and leave, and they still feel like they're a victim of what's going on. And we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about poor kids and low-income kids and how they look at things a little bit different. Do they look at victimization? Absolutely. They think they're victimized? Absolutely. Do they look at the world and say, man, I'm a victim of my parents, I'm a victim of my neighborhood, I'll never get out. Never get out. Had a kid come in, I'm just telling you, had a kid come in and said, you know, don't worry about anything, I'm just going to try to make it through here because I'm going to be living on the government when I get out of school. Where did he learn that? Okay, now, after it took us 2 years, he began to think different. Began to think about maybe what he could go do. Had a kid come in that was a victim of, and y'all we had a kid come in that was autistic. Some of you heard us talk about him. His name is Jared. He came in autistic, and his parents said he will never leave the house. We want a place where he's safe and can come in and do okay. He'll never go to college. Did not think he'd go to college even going into his senior year. Not going to go to college. He's not going to, you know, blah, blah, blah. What happened is Jared began to understand the empowerment issue. Jared, last year, Jared went to National Park, made straight A's, wants to be a college teacher. Let's hear that for Jared. Come on, come on, come on. I'm just telling you. That's what can happen. But it's got to be something that you are pointed to. You guys from last year, if you look at this and say, well, you know what, I could not tell you that there were any lives changed in my situation. You didn't teach enough. And you didn't teach a point enough. I'm just telling you. Every year you ought to see lives changed with teaching SEL. Every year. And it ought to be something that is focused. It ought to be something that you can see. One of the things that I think that Harvey's going to bring to us is to be able to see that in real terms, in real data. Whereas what I can do is tell you stories, I can't tell you in real data. So we're going to be looking at that and seeing how that goes. Okay, so what is the definition? In each one of these, you've got introduction, and it's going to go through, and Mark is going to go through this a little bit more, but the outcomes, learn not to blame shortcomings. So here's the pointed outcome. We don't want them to be, you don't want the kids, and I don't want you to. Today, I want you to take upon yourself to empower yourself. We're going to find an area where you are not empowered, where you're a victim. Okay? We're going to find one. You're going to find it. I'm not going to find it. And we're going to look at that. Learn to take responsibility for your own actions. What happens when you teach this? What do you think happens once this is taught? Bert, you teach this lesson. What happens from there on out? Do you know what I'm looking for there? What happens? Anybody want to help?
Refer back to it.
Yeah. They're dead.
Yeah.
How can they be a victim? We've already gone through this. You remember we exposed you, everything's there. How can you be a victim anymore? Well, I can't do it because, wait a minute, is that a victim? Are you a victim or are you empowered? I mean, it's like boom, boom, boom. All year long, you're pumping that. And I'm telling you guys, you'll see them, they begin to, well, I'm not going to complain. They may do it in their mind, they're not going to complain anymore. It's like, I'm going to keep up with this, and it's, and maybe they begin to change their mindset of victimization. I'm telling you. Okay, learn to accept the role of the victim will lead to a life of powerlessness and weakness. How do you do that? Again, over and over and over, all year long. Learn to choose empowerment and be bigger than the negative outcomes. Okay, now I'm going through this partly so that you can see this. I would teach it just a hair different, but again, this is how we're doing this. I'm going to go down to, how to do that, Mark? Oh, there it is, growth mindset. How do you look at victimization, and How can you look at the growth mindset and how that? Some of you guys that are from last year understand the growth mindset maybe a little bit better. What is the growth mindset in victimization? How can you deal with that? You know what? We only have 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll have a few.
Power to give them the power instead of allowing them to claim the victim.
Okay, the growth mindset says, how can I grow from this? Fixed mindset says, I'm done. I'm a victim. That's why some poor people, it's a cycle. So they're going to stay in the cycle. I'm done. It's over. I'm poor the whole time. The growth mindset says, well, I may be poor right now, but I'm going to work out of that. I may fail this time, even at being a victim. Learn from that. I'm going to move on. So the growth mindset says, how can I move with this and get better, instead of the fixed mindset of said, I'm done. It's over. I'm sitting here. That alone, the growth mindset. How many of you guys, I know we've got you guys, how many of you guys actually hammered hard the growth mindset last year? I got 1, 2. Could you see help in what you do? I'm going to tell you, if you took the growth mindset and you hammered it every day, then it'd change the way a lot of these kids think. It just will. So the growth mindset, it will, and our program talks a lot about that. And guys, we don't have time to go through this really in depth, but the growth mindset is a huge key, and it's in every one of our programs of saying, here's how you take the growth mindset and you move it forward. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to just in your mind, I want you to answer those questions. Answer the questions. How have you felt powerless in your life? How was it fixed? How has fixed mindset kept you powerless? I need some help with it here. Okay? All right, I'm going to start off. I used to coach, and I coached at a school in Nashville, Tennessee, coached basketball, and we went into the public school. It was a private school. We went into the public school like AAA here, okay? Now you can't do that here, but that's what we did. So we went in, and guess what? In the first couple of games that we played, the referees hammered us. Why? We were the newbies, okay? And they knew the oldies, okay? So we were struggling the whole time to even keep it close. I'm talking within 30 points, all right? So it's like I'm up talking the whole time, and I had a victim mentality. When I went into that third game, we played a school called Brentwood Academy, and I mean, if some of you don't know the word Brentwood Academy, they've had some of the best football teams in the nation, and they're only a school of 300. I mean, they're like huge, they're like big and that kind of thing. Real interesting school. We were playing Brentwood Academy. We played them the week before. The tournament. They pressed us like crazy, a full court press, pushed us all over the place. And the referees weren't calling. Okay, so we go into the tournament, and guess who we drew first? Brentwood Academy. So do you think I was empowered or had the victim mentality when I went in? I did. I had the victim mentality when I went in. Guess how long I lasted before the referees kicked me out? It wasn't long. I was going to make sure they understood that I knew what they were doing, and they understood that I did not need to be in the game, so they put me out. And it was like, did that help? No, we only got beat by 7 or 8 points with the assistant coach coaching them. Who knows? We might could do it, but they did. They kept driving down the baseline. Sorry about that. Driving down the baseline, they actually pushed our kid out, and they went, oh, their ball. And I went nuts. So did it help? No, it didn't help. And so for you, give me a situation where you've been a victim where the fixed mindset, I had a fixed mindset going into that, guys. It wasn't any way I was going to be open. I knew the referee was going to be against us, right? Killed me. Killed us. What about you? Give me an example.
Bill, I got one.
Okay.
So I went to school in Mountain Home, and I grew up there, and I grew up really poor. And my parents actually moved away, but I mean, we're all independent children. We grew up in farming families and that kind of thing. So we all kind of, at 15, we all had to kind of be on our own, really, to kind of. But anyway, I grew up in Mountain Home 15 by myself, and I happened to be fairly good at grades, so I was under the radar. No one really knew. But I wanted to, I didn't want to stay in that cycle, so I was trying to figure that out. And one thing I learned, somebody told me a long time ago, without money there is no opportunity. And I thought, well, I'm broke, I don't have any money, so there's no opportunity. But then I figured out that hard work would give you time to hopefully make money and then get out of the opportunity. So, pay for college and that kind of stuff. And so that was my way out. But I learned that working hard and being lazy are both addictive, but you had to pick which one. You couldn't do both, right? And I could have just easily been lazy and been kind of in that thing, but luckily I found good mentors and my coaches and my staff members, and they empowered me to they actually hired me at the school as a janitor and those kind of things. And I played football, had great coaches and a great community. And they basically empowered me and said, you're smart, you have to work hard, you have all the ingredients to be successful, and they empower that into me. So that's why I'm so passionate when I met Corey and his program, that he's taking those kids. I was never that far that some of the kids he has to deal with, but so there was no turnaround for me, but it was just that from 15 on, I've had people like Corey to say, you can do this.
Okay, so here's what I hear. I hear the fixed mindset. Hear the fixed mindset. Are we with it? Here we go. I hear the fixed mindset, but he turned it into a growth mindset because of mentors. Boom. All right. Let's hear it for Harvey. Here we go. That's pretty good. I like that, Harvey. Good job. All right. So give me one more example and we'll move on. Somebody else. Fixed mindset. Where have you had a fixed mindset? Where have you had a fixed mindset that really hurt you and made you powerless in your life? Yeah.
I had a student that was given tend to seem like he was biased toward women, and I would have a lot of run-ins with him. And there was a situation that I would have to call his parent, his mother, and when she got up there, I found out that she had a real strong disliking towards me, and so I would get cussed out. And so every time I would have to deal with this student, I would get really I couldn't. His mom doesn't like me, this kid has already, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to help this kid when I'm fighting against him and the parent? It wasn't until I started realizing that she was going to have to embrace me and I was going to have to embrace her, being it's going to be a team effect. For us to be able to help your child, we are going to have to team up and realize that he can do this, he can get out of AOE, he can, because he was a long-termer, and so they had actually lost hope. And once we presented her with a plan, an actual written out plan, this is possible for him, then she was then she got on board, and then we weren't fighting against each other quite as much.
Okay, great example. And we've all done that. We've all done it. We're going to go through some things just a little bit later this morning that I think are going to help with that. But I think wonderful. Fix it. And what you do is you lose your power. Yes. You just lose it. It's gone. I gave it away. So do you think this is important for the kids? I do too. I think it's important not only for the kids, but it's important for you as a teacher to grow. Our staff will tell you, and you can visit with them, that this program, and we've been doing it for about 4 years, kind of 5 in a way, but it has helped us. And what I'm hoping is that it'll help you. Or here's what I want you to do. I want you to get with your study buddy. I want you to talk about this. I'm only going to give you 2 minutes. That's it. I want you to share this, and you can share the ones that are just shared. That's fine. You don't have to share it again. But I want you to get it for your study buddy. Do one example. Go. Okay, go back to your seats. Now I want you to get comfortable. No, go ahead. I want you to get comfortable. I want you to think about your empowerment. I want you to think about right now how maybe you've had a fixed mindset at some point in time. and maybe where you want to go from here. This is your meditation time, okay? This is your mindful meditation. We're not going to do this long. Okay, now, here's what I'm doing today. Today, like what I would do if I was in your classroom, or if I'm in my classroom, I would throw this at them from time to time. This had talking to it, and some of them, what you can do is you can find a meditation for almost anything. So if you're talking about empowerment, there's a meditation for empowerment. Sometimes they talk, sometimes you just have music. But I would begin this. The more and more you read, you see that meditation in the right way, and again, you got to be careful. Some of you guys in strong Christian, let's say towns, especially maybe a small town, then the pastor may get mad because he's thinking you're getting into Buddhism or something else, and you don't. Although meditation started there, it can be used for prayer, it can be used for meditation, it can be used for anything. But it's a time for the kids to begin to relax and to reflect on what they're doing. Now, I think you could use meditation for 15 minutes. I think you could use it for 5 minutes. I think sometimes, do y'all use meditation with some of your kids on what you're doing in Conway?
Sometimes.
Just a little bit. Okay, did y'all use it this year? Okay, anybody, did y'all? Okay, we did, and we quit. We actually gave up on it. I'm just going to admit. Do what?
The teachers use meditation.
Well, actually, I know our teachers got mad because they wanted to meditate, and the kids were going, and it wasn't but just a very small percentage of kids that were against it. But I will say this, that there are places across the country that are doing it. They stick with it. You've got to sell. You've got to show the relevancy of what's going on, and if you can do that, it really helps them to calm. It helps them to kind of reflect. So times after you've done something would be a good time to reflect. And here's what I want to do. I want to take just a quick 5-minute break, and then I want you to come back and I want you to circle up. Now the circle is, you two can't be in the circle, so y'all just kind of bring a chair over here. Y'all can just turn your chairs a little bit. I'm not worried about a perfect circle here. We're going to get the idea of some things going on in circle, and so you guys just kind of turn yours to where we have a big circle coming up through here. All right, so take a 5-minute break, do something if you need to use the bathroom, and then kind of get your chairs where they're circled.